BP here. I just wanted to make a little video here, just kind of detailing my life a little bit so I can look back in old age and kind of look at these videos and sort of review it kind of like a journal because it is history, and possibly for my children in the future if they want to come find out more about their dad. I'm here online, man. But anyways, a little bit of background of my life. I am 38 years old right now, and I served 12 years in the Air Force. When I was 18 in the year 2003, I joined, and I was a logistician, which means I loaded aircraft like C5s, C17s, 747s that were contracted out. A lot of equipment we would ship down to the war fighters in Iraq, Afghanistan, and whatnot. And as you can see here from this picture, this is what we looked like in the military. I don't know if they still wear these uniforms. It's been 8 years since I got out, but this is what we would wear when I was in. I'm pretty sure not much has changed. But and I don't know these guys. I have no idea who these people are. But this is your cookie cutter look, I guess you could say, for the military. But anyways, I wanted to just kind of tell a little story to just kind of encourage anybody out there, whether it be just myself, if nobody else watches this video, or to encourage anybody out there with similar situations. So just a little story. When I was in for about 10 years, I was given a assignment down to Kandahar, Afghanistan. And so I was deployed for 6 months, and I went down there. And there was two gentlemen that were kind of scrutinizing me for quite some time. One's name was Senior Master Sergeant McKenna, or excuse me, Senior Master Sergeant Spain and Master Sergeant McKenna. Well, anyways, Senior Spain and McKenna both didn't really like me. But at the end of my tour, Senior Spain walked up to me and shook my hand and thanked me. And he said, "Brian, I really didn't expect you to make it this far. I did not expect you to do a good job like you have, but we've relied heavily on you for the mission, and you've just done a good job. And I just wanted to shake your hand. Thank you. Job well done." And it was a very private sort of thing. It wasn't on stage. Nobody gave me a medal. Nobody said, all the spiel that you normally hear at award ceremonies. It was just a very private handshake. And that handshake meant more to me than anything, because it was coming from a man I greatly respected, but also coming from a man who greatly disrespected me and did not view me as one of their own, so to speak. I was sort of an outcast for whatever reason. I just didn't quite fit in, and that's okay. But, after 10, 12 years of service, somebody comes up to you and shakes your hand and says, "You did a damn good job and you proved me wrong." That means something. Well, like I said, the other guy, McKenna, he didn't really like me either. So a few months go by, and he brings me into his office, and he says, "Price, I've really got my eye on you, so just watch your step." And I took great offense to that. And I looked at him, and he outranked me. And I said, "Listen, man, I'm not going to be nice about this. I'm going to make a rank one day, and I'm going to show it to you. And that's it. There's just nothing you can do about it." Basically, I told the guy, "Kiss my ass." I walked out the office. Well, a couple years go by. I ended up getting a blood clot in my leg, and I was supposed to go to my second tour to Afghanistan 3 days after. So within 3 days, I was supposed to get on a plane and fly out to Afghanistan. Well, prior to that, it was discovered that I had a blood clot, and I ended up not going. And that was part of the reason why I'm no longer in, because had I gone, I probably would still be in, because I'd still be kicking it with the guys. But anyways, after I was told I can't travel with a blood clot, I would have to stay back. What ended up happening was, um, I was using my cell phone on the flight line, and somebody had seen me and got me in trouble, and I ended up standing before the commanding officer and losing a stripe. And it was from there that they started processing me out of the Air Force. And I think I was kind of voted out because losing a stripe is not the end of your career in the Air Force. If you guys have been in, you know, losing a stripe is not the end. But what ended up happening was, I think what ended up happening was, my superiors had called the test proctor. This is just a conspiracy theory. I have no idea what happened, but this is just a theory. I think one of my superiors had called my test proctor the day I was supposed to test to get my rank back, because I was fully allowed to retest and get my rank back. You know, just because you lose it don't mean nothing. You can get it back. You just have to test. So the day of my test, as I'm sitting down to receive my test, the proctor comes to me and says, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, but you can't test today. You're going to have to leave." And I didn't question it. I was like, "Really? Okay." So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking somebody must have called down here and told them to not let me test, because I'm thinking I got voted off the island. So I was like, okay, no problem, whatever. So I ended up getting out. Got out after 12 years. They gave me a severance pay. And anyways, so now here I am 8 years later, right? And life is great. I've got my own job. You know, I've got a job now and been employed and got my own place. I'm a homeowner. Life is great. And anyways, I get a phone call from the Air Force Reserve. Right? Before I get into that, I just wanted to make it a point. Remember when I said the guy said, "Hey, watch yourself," right? Watch yourself. I said, "Okay, no problem. I will." And sure enough, they watched me. They watched everything I did, scrutinized everything I did, and they got me out successfully. So I was like, good for you, man. Good for you. I just wanted to kind of tell this story to just kind of show you how things tend to work out. So I said to the guy, "Hey, man, I'm going to make rank and come to your office and just kind of tell you to kiss my ass." Well, as I moved on in life and got a job and kind of got settled here, bought property where I'm at in my city, you know, I was like, well, I'm kind of already retired. I've already got free healthcare, access to all the VA benefits, you know, free nursing homes when I get older, you name it. You know, I don't have to pay for medicine. I've got all this stuff, and then I've got access to disability if I want it. You know, all I got to do is fill out the paperwork. Okay, so in all, for all intents and purposes, I am retired. Okay, but I get a phone call from the Air Force Reserve, National Guard, I can't remember, and they said, "Hey, do you want to come back in? Do you want to come back in?" Here I am, late 30s. They asked me if I wanted to come back in. And let me tell you something, revenge is so sweet. Because it was like, you know, the guys that voted me out, they're like, "We got him, you know. We got you, bro." And it was like, yeah, you did. Good job. But I'll tell you what, that one little phone call from the Air Force Reserve to ask me to come back, just for the option, it was like, "Hey, do you want to come back? We'll let you back in." And I was like, let me think about it. And the truth is I turned them down because I was already moved on. Life had already passed by this time. I had already been doing my own thing. So there was no real need for me to go back in. So I was like, nah, I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. But I tell you that story because just because people don't like you or someone doesn't like you doesn't mean it won't work out in the end. Because for me, and this guy didn't know that the Air Force had called me back and asked me to come back in, but I did. And so for me, it was like a sweet little revenge. Like, I could have came back in if I wanted to, you know, and showed off my rank and all that stuff. But, I had already moved on and I was beyond that point. So it was just a nice, sweet little bit of revenge that I could kind of feel good about. And there's been other stories like that also. Another one I'll tell you real quick before I end this video is that when I was married to my ex, all right, we had a couple of kids and whatnot. And for years, she has denied me visitation. I mean, years. The kids are what? They're going to be 11 and 9 this year in March. So next month, they'll be 11 and 9 years old, son and daughter. And she has repeatedly denied me visitation, was mean, rude, horrible, just a horrible, awful wife. And once again, this is another story of kind of a revenge story, because revenge is a dish best served cold. I get a phone call from her. Now check this out. Years had gone by since we had split, right? I get a phone call from my ex-wife asking to work things out and say, hey, let's get back together. Let's work this out. And I was thinking to myself, why now all of a sudden? I'm posting pictures of my new girlfriend. We've been together for a couple of years now. I'm posting online, showing, just doing my thing, just doing my normal everyday thing. And it's like, okay, I don't have access to any of my kids. That's their choice. That's what they decided to do. My ex-wives, they were like, hey, we don't like him. We're going to make sure he's not involved in the lives of his children. So I was like, fine. I'm not going to worry about that. I mean, you're not just hurting me. You're hurting my family. You're hurting my parents. They didn't do anything wrong. All right. If I had cheated or I was abusive, all right, I could understand the wives punishing me, but what did my parents do? So that's how I know it was more vindictive than they made it out to be. So anyways, yeah, I get a phone call. Let's work it out. And I was like, that was my moment. That was my moment of revenge. It was like, all these years of wanting to see the kids, and all these years of pain and suffering and whatnot, and it was like I could have her if I wanted her, and I could be in those kids' lives too if I wanted, obviously under the condition that she and I be together. But I looked at her and I said, or excuse me, I was on the phone, so I was like, listen, no offense, but I've already moved on. I've already got my I've already got my girlfriend. You can let me visit the kids anytime. Matter of fact, if you want to come move closer to my city, because she had moved out of state, she took the kids and went out of state. I said, matter of fact, if you want to move closer to where I'm at and my family is, we'll help you raise these kids. We just can't live together, and we cannot be in a romantic relationship, because this is no longer about us. This is about those kids. So I'll help you raise those kids. My family will help you raise those kids. You got nothing to worry about. So for her, it was all or nothing. She wanted to have, the full blown living together relationship type of deal and have full control. I was like, no, that's no deal. No deal. And she goes, well, what's the problem? Is it because I was abusive? Is it because I was mean? Was it because I'd punch you and slap you and push you down the stairs? And I was like, yeah, basically. I mean, I'm not going to live with a person that beats on me. I'm not going to live with somebody that's mean to me. So you go raise those kids on your own and let me visit, or let me have the kids. If you're struggling financially, I told her this. I was like, look, if you're struggling financially, give me those kids. I will raise them. You don't even have to pay me child support. That wasn't good enough. Wasn't good for her. Nope. She wants possession of the kids and child support and no visitation from me. So I was like, fine, you go right ahead. I will go move on. I will be with my woman. And if I want to start over and have more kids, I will. And you can go be by yourself and raise those kids all you want. So that was the decision I made. And like I said, it was nice. It was nice because it was like sweet little revenge. Sweet little revenge. So yeah, that's all I got to tell you for today, for today's little story time. Things come back around is all I got to say. Things come back around. So if you stay faithful, if you stay, the course and do the right thing, yes, people might get away with it for the time being, but it comes back around. It comes back around. What goes around comes around. So, that's why doing the right thing always is the best option, because like I said, I was able to kind of feel good inside. Nobody knew this stuff happened but me. This is not, out for the world to see. This was in private. Get a phone call from the Air Force. Hey, come back. Get a phone call from the ex-wife. Hey, come back. It's like it's too late. And I don't mean to be like that, because I don't like saying it's too late. But for me, it was. For that situation, it was. That's all I can say. And, let this kind of be a warning as well to you guys. Like if you're thinking about treating somebody badly, or just doing the wrong thing, just understand, like, you don't want to give them ammunition to say it's been too late. It's too late now. You don't want to be in that position of bridges being burned. It's not a pleasant thing, when the bridge is burned. It's really bad. But that's all I really have to say for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and you guys take care. BP signing out.